There comes a time in life when everything seems locked against you, doors appear closed, and the situation feels impossible. But I am here to tell you something that will change your life forever. God is about to turn the impossible into reality. The word impossible is a lie told by the senses. Your outer world is nothing more than the shadow of your inner state. The moment you begin to see beyond what your eyes can observe, you step into a realm where all things are possible. The absurdity, the philosophy of listen carefully. Your desire is not random. It was planted in you because its fulfillment already exists. If it were not possible, you could not even imagine it. The seed of your dream carries its own completion. So, what must you do? Live in the end. Close your eyes and picture the life you long for as if it is already yours. Speak as though it is done. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude of it being complete. Do not wait for the evidence. Be the evidence in your mind. Understand this: the bridge of events will form. People will appear. Opportunities will rise from places you never expected. The world will bend to bring your inner picture into outer reality. But it all begins in you. And while you wait, do not fear delays, do not panic. Silence is your greatest power. Every doubt you entertain pushes the promise further away. Stand firm. Praise God for what you do not yet see. Speak words of gratitude, for the unseen is far more real than what your senses can touch. Today the impossible is becoming possible. Today, what you thought could never happen is already moving toward you. Believe it. Accept it. Live it now. For God has already declared, it is done. What you call impossible is not a fact. It is a perception. It is nothing more than a belief you have accepted as true because your senses told you so. The world has taught you that some things can happen and others cannot. You have been conditioned to measure possibility by what you see, by what you hear, and by what others say. But I tell you, the impossible is only an illusion created by the mind that does not yet know its own power. Every great achievement in history was once considered impossible. Flying through the air was once madness, until a man believed differently. Speaking across continents in an instant was once a fantasy, until someone dared to imagine it real. Walking on the moon was a fairy tale, until faith in imagination made it a reality. The line between possible and impossible is drawn only by thought, and thought can change in an instant. When you call something impossible, what you really mean is that you do not know how it will happen. You are looking at the outer world and you cannot see the way. You cannot see the bridge. But the absence of a visible bridge does not mean there is no bridge. It only means it is invisible to the eye, yet fully formed in the unseen. The mind that believes in limitation will never find the way, but the mind that believes in possibility will always create one. So how do you dissolve impossibility? You do not fight it, you rise above it. You shift the way you see the world. Stop asking, how will this happen? And start affirming, it is already mine. The moment you claim it in your imagination, the moment you feel the reality of it within, the impossible begins to crumble. Because imagination is the creative power behind all that is seen. Everything you see today existed first as a thought, as an image, as an inner conviction. When you close your eyes and dare to believe that what you desire is already yours, you have stepped into the highest law of creation. The outer world cannot resist for long what is fully accepted within. It must conform. It must rearrange. It must bend to reflect the truth you hold. This is why impossibility is an illusion, because the creative process does not begin with what you see. It begins with what you believe. Do not allow appearances to dictate your faith. The senses are blind to the unseen forces that shape destiny. The next time your mind whispers, "This is impossible," smile and say, "No, it is done." Say it until you feel it. Live as though it is true. Walk with the quiet confidence that life is aligning with your inner conviction. For when you believe, when you persist, when you hold the picture without fear, impossibility dissolves like smoke in the wind. Nothing is beyond you, nothing is too great. The word impossible is a prison built by doubt. Break the walls by believing, and watch the world bow to the power of your faith. The moment a desire is born within you, it carries its own promise. Desire is not an accident, nor is it a cruel trick of life. It is the evidence that what you long for already exists for you, waiting to be claimed. You could not desire what is not possible. You could not imagine what does not exist in some dimension of reality. Every desire is a signpost pointing to something already prepared, something already complete, waiting for you to align with it. Think about this. Where does desire come from? It does not come from outside. It does not fall from the sky. It rises from within your consciousness, the same place where all creation begins. If it were not possible for you to have it, you would never be able to conceive it in your mind. The fact that you feel it, the fact that you long for it, means it is part of your path. It is already done in the unseen. You are not chasing after something uncertain, you are moving towards something guaranteed. But most people make a mistake. They treat their desire as something far away, as something to be achieved by struggle, as if they are starting from nothing. They do not realize that desire is not the beginning of creation. It is the sign that creation is already complete. The unseen world is more real than the visible one. Every picture you hold within your mind is a reflection of something that already exists in the invisible realm. Your role is not to create it, but to align with it, to believe in it so deeply that it steps out of the unseen and becomes your experience. When you understand this, you stop doubting your desires, you stop questioning whether you are worthy, whether you can afford it, whether the timing will work out. Those doubts are lies, for the desire itself is proof that it belongs to you. You did not choose it. It chose you. It was given to you because it was meant for you. Life never teases. It does not awaken longing without also preparing the way for fulfillment. So how do you claim what is already yours? You do it by living as though it is true. You assume the feeling of having it now. You speak as though the promise is fulfilled. You move with confidence, not because you can see it, but because you know the unseen is more certain than the seen. When you walk in this faith, when you persist in the conviction that your desire is the evidence of its own reality, nothing can stop it from manifesting. Do not ignore your desires and do not dismiss them as foolish dreams. They are whispers from a higher reality calling you forward. When you honor them, when you believe in them without fear, you align with the law of life. And then what was once only a thought begins to take shape. It comes in ways you cannot predict, through channels you cannot control. But it comes because it was always yours. Your desire is not a question, it is an answer. It is not a hope, it is a sign. It is proof of something finished, something waiting, something destined. Hold it, believe it, live it now. For what you desire is already here, and soon you will see it with your own eyes. The greatest secret to manifestation is this: you must live as though your desire is already accomplished. The world teaches you to wait for evidence before you believe, but the law of creation demands the opposite. You must believe before you see. You must feel the reality of what you want before it can take form. This is what it means to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Your imagination is the workshop of reality. Everything that exists began first in the mind of someone who dared to feel it real. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the very device you hold, all were first imagined by someone who lived in the end before it appeared. They walked through it in their minds. They felt the satisfaction of its completion long before others could see it. And that is why it became real. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are not pretending. You are aligning with truth, for what you imagine with faith becomes the blueprint that shapes your world. You cannot create anything by longing for it from a distance. Desire without assumption keeps your dream in the future, always beyond your reach. But the moment you move from wishing to feeling, the moment you claim it as done in consciousness, the process begins to unfold in your favor. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the life you want. Not as a dream, but as a present reality. See yourself there. Touch it with your senses in imagination. Hear the words you would hear if it were true. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude of living it now. This inner experience is not fantasy. It is the seed of manifestation. What you accept as real within must one day appear without. But you cannot waver. You cannot assume the feeling today and then doubt tomorrow. Consistency is the key. Hold the state until it hardens into fact. Let the feeling become your dwelling place. When the world contradicts you, do not abandon your inner truth. When nothing seems to happen, do not despair. The unseen is at work, arranging the pieces, opening the doors, moving the mountains. Your only task is to remain faithful to the end you have assumed. And when you live in this way, walking, talking, thinking as though your dream is here, you activate a power greater than circumstance. Opportunities appear, people show up, paths unfold that logic could never predict. Life begins to mirror the image you hold, and what was once a wish becomes your reality, not by chance, but by law. So do not wait to feel it when it comes. Feel it now. Let the joy of its fulfillment fill you today. Act, speak, and think as if the promise is already kept. For in the unseen it is. And the unseen always becomes seen when you persist in faith. The end is already yours. Live there in your mind, and soon you will live there in the world. Your imagination is not just a place for daydreams. It is the creative power that shapes your entire life. Every event, every circumstance you call real began first as an invisible picture held in the mind. What you see around you now is nothing more than the shadow of what was once imagined, by you or by someone else. The world does not move by chance. It moves by the inner images we entertain with persistence and belief. When you hold an image in your mind and feel it as real, you create a bridge of events that leads from where you are to the fulfillment of that picture. You may not see the bridge immediately. It is not built in the physical world first. It is constructed in the unseen. But once it is complete in imagination, life begins to rearrange itself to make it so. People will come into your life. Opportunities will open. Coincidences will appear. Though nothing is truly a coincidence. It is all the outworking of the inner picture you have chosen to accept. Most people live as prisoners of the visible. They let the outer world dictate what they believe is possible. They say, I will believe it when I see it, and so they never see it. Because imagination never had a chance to plant the seed. Creation works the other way around. You must see it within before you can ever see it without. The unseen always precedes the seen. So I ask you, what pictures do you hold in your mind? Are they pictures of lack, limitation, fear? If so, you will cross a bridge to those very experiences. But if you dare to imagine abundance, love, health, success, and persist in that inner vision, you will move across the bridge to a life that reflects those images. The outer world cannot resist the inner conviction. It must conform. But here is the key. The bridge is not built by wishful thinking alone. It is built by sustained feeling. You cannot hold the image for a moment and then abandon it because you see no evidence. You must remain faithful to the unseen, even when the outer world shows you the opposite. The longer you hold that inner picture with confidence, the stronger the bridge becomes, until one day you find yourself walking upon it without even knowing how you got there. This is the power of imagination. It does not wait for logic. It does not require the approval of others. It does not care about statistics or facts. It simply creates according to the pictures impressed upon it with feeling. And the world, every circumstance, every event moves into alignment to make that picture real. So close your eyes tonight and paint the image of the life you desire. See it clearly, feel it deeply, live there in your mind until it feels like home. For once you have done this, the bridge is already built, and life will guide you step by step across that bridge to the fulfillment of your dream. Silence is not weakness, silence is strength. When you are silent, you stand in a place of unshakable confidence. You do not need to argue with circumstances, you do not need to beg or plead, and you certainly do not need to explain yourself to anyone. True power moves in silence, because silence speaks of certainty. When you ask for something in prayer or claim it in imagination, the work is already done, the seed is planted. But many people destroy that seed by speaking words of doubt, by running to others for reassurance, by complaining when they do not see instant results. Every word of fear, every thought of uncertainty is like digging up the seed you just planted. How can it grow if you keep disturbing the soil? Understand this truth. Doubt is the enemy of manifestation. The moment you doubt, you delay. The moment you let fear in, you push the fulfillment away. Why? Because you are stepping out of faith and back into the realm of appearances. You are saying, I don't trust the unseen, I only trust what I can see. But what you see is the past. It is the result of old thoughts, old beliefs, old feelings. If you want something new, you must remain faithful to the unseen. And the best way to stay faithful is through silence. Do not talk about your fears. Do not explain your dreams to those who will only discourage you. Do not argue with reality. Instead, retreat inward. In the quiet of your mind, hold fast to the picture of your desire fulfilled. Feel it so deeply that it becomes more real to you than anything you can touch or hear. That silent conviction is the force that moves mountains. When you remain calm and quiet, you show the universe that you trust the process. You trust that an unseen hand is working in your favor. You may not know how it will happen, but you know that it will, and that knowing is what creates the way. Doors open when you stop pounding on them. Paths appear when you stop forcing them. The stillness of faith speaks louder than the noise of desperation. So the next time you feel the urge to panic, to question, to cry out in fear, stop. Breathe. Withdraw into the silence of your inner world and remind yourself, it is already done. Let that be your meditation. Say nothing to those who cannot understand. Speak only in whispers of gratitude to the one who hears your heart. Then watch as life rearranges itself quietly, effortlessly, perfectly. Silence is not doing nothing. It is doing the greatest work of all. It is the posture of those who know that what they seek is already theirs. Remain silent, remain confident, and let the power that moves the stars also move every circumstance to bring your desire to life. Gratitude is the language of faith. When you give thanks for something you cannot yet see, you declare that it is already yours in the unseen. This is one of the highest acts of trust. Anyone can be grateful when the blessing is in hand, when the evidence is clear, when the miracle has already appeared. But gratitude before the manifestation That is power. That is what moves the invisible into the visible. When you thank God for what has not yet shown up, you align yourself with the truth that creation is finished. You are saying with every fiber of your being, I believe it is done. And the moment you believe, the process is set in motion. Life responds not to begging, not to pleading, but to the vibration of certainty. And gratitude is certainty expressed. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He does not stand over the soil in fear, wondering if something will grow. He knows the harvest is guaranteed because the seed is good and the law is sure. So he gives thanks in advance. He waters the ground with expectation. He celebrates the crop before it rises. This is how you must treat your desires. Once you have imagined the end and assumed it to be true, give thanks. Praise what you cannot yet touch as though it is already in your hands. Because in truth, it is. Gratitude shifts your mind from lack to abundance. When you are thankful now, you are no longer waiting. You are living in the reality of fulfillment. Waiting says, it will come one day. Gratitude says, it is mine now. And life will always mirror your dominant state. If you live in waiting, you will wait forever. If you live in thanksgiving, your world will rearrange to match your inner conviction. But you must feel it. Empty words will not move mountains. When you say thank you, let your heart overflow with the joy of already having what you desire. Picture yourself holding it, using it, living in it. Let the emotion of gratitude flood your soul until it feels real, because it is real in the unseen. That unseen reality is more certain than the shifting facts of the outer world. Do not speak of delays. Do not question the timing. Every time you doubt, return to thanksgiving. Say, thank you for this blessing that is already mine. Speak it when you wake. Speak it when you walk. Speak it when the night is dark and the evidence is nowhere in sight. Because gratitude is faith made visible, and faith is the bridge between what is and what shall be. So start today. Whatever you have asked for, whatever you have imagined, give thanks now. Give thanks before the door opens, before the answer comes, before the miracle shows up. Praise what you do not yet see, and it must appear. For nothing is more powerful than a heart that thanks in advance for what it knows is already done. What you once called impossible is no longer a barrier. It was only a shadow cast by doubt. Every desire you hold is not a random wish. It is a sign of something already complete in the unseen, waiting for your acceptance. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, when you trust your imagination to build the bridge, when you remain silent and unshaken, and when you give thanks before it appears, you align yourself with the highest law of creation. Do not wait for evidence. Create the evidence within. Walk in faith, speak with confidence, and live as though your dream is here, now. The world will respond. It must rearrange itself to mirror the picture you hold inside, and in the right time, in the perfect way, what was once only an idea will stand before you as fact. Remember this always. The impossible exists only in the mind that doubts. Believe, persist, and give thanks, because it is already yours.
Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the silence behind your thoughts. That stillness, that's where your true power lives. Right now, I am not here to convince you of what's possible. I'm here to remind you of what already is. You are not chasing $580 million 0 cents. You are remembering that it is already yours. You see, the greatest lie you've ever been told is that wealth comes from the outside, that you must earn it, grind for it, beg for it, or pray long enough for it to appear. But the truth is, wealth is a mirror, and your consciousness is the reflection. Whatever you accept as true within, will appear without. So here's what you must do. Assume it, feel it, repeat it. $580 million 0 cents is mine now. I live from wealth. I think from abundance. I feel it. I am it. Say it, repeat it, not like a robot, but like a creator. Every word is a brushstroke painting your inner reality. You don't need to look at your bank account to know your worth. You don't need permission from the world to feel rich. The moment you feel it as true, your world begins to move. You've done this before. You've imagined worst-case scenarios, and they came. Now imagine wealth. Feel the relief, the freedom, the calm confidence, and let the outer world bend to your inner command. Repetition with belief becomes creation. And creation is not slow. It is immediate. The outer result simply takes time to catch up with the inner decision. So today decide. Decide to no longer wish for wealth, but to identify with it. And last, but equally at the same time, wishing. Decide. Say it like it's already done. $580 million 0 cents is already mine. I'm just aligning with the version of me who already has it. Repeat this, not to get rich, but because you already are. Repeat this, because your inner speech is the architect of your experience. Repeat this, because your consciousness is the only cause, and the world is just the effect. You don't manifest money. You manifest the version of you who already has money, and from that state, all things flow. So walk like it, talk like it, repeat it, until the world can't help but reflect it. Because $580 million 0 cents isn't coming, it's already yours. What you see in your imagination is more real than what you see with your physical eyes, because imagination is the creative power behind all manifestation. Everything that exists in your life right now, your relationships, your finances, your health, your surroundings, was first conceived in the unseen world of thought. The visible is simply the shadow cast by the invisible. The truth that most overlook is this: the world outside you is not cause, it is effect. Your inner world of beliefs, assumptions, and imaginal acts is the only source of change. When you close your eyes and imagine a scene clearly and vividly, allowing yourself to feel as though you are truly there, you are not merely daydreaming. You are engaging in creation. In that moment, you are planting the seed of your reality. The subconscious mind, which governs the circumstances and events of your life, accepts the imaginal act as fact when it is felt with emotional conviction. It does not distinguish between real and imagined. To it, what you repeatedly feel and believe to be true becomes true. People often place more trust in their 5 senses than in the power of their inner vision. But the senses only reflect back what has already been assumed within. If you want to change your life, you must stop reacting to what is and start imagining what could be as though it already is. Imagination is not a passive escape. It is the active power that shapes the fabric of your world. The chair you sit on, the phone you hold, the home you live in. Someone imagined it first. All things begin in thought. This is not wishful thinking or fantasy, it is law. It is the creative process of consciousness. When you dare to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, your reality begins to shift to match that state. It may not happen overnight, but if you persist, the outer world will rearrange itself to mirror your inner world. This is why so many people remain stuck. They believe what they see, and in doing so, they continue to recreate the same reality. But the one who dares to believe in the unseen, to trust what they imagine with unwavering faith, becomes the master of their fate. Imagination must be disciplined. Random, unfocused daydreaming will not produce lasting results. But controlled, intentional, repeated imagining, backed with the feeling that it is already true, becomes the blueprint for manifestation. It is not about forcing or begging, it is about assuming and accepting. The state you inhabit mentally becomes the life you walk into physically. To live by imagination is to live from the inside out. You must stop allowing circumstances to dictate your state and instead let your inner state dictate your circumstances. The world is malleable to your assumptions. Imagination is the only reality, and once you truly understand this, you will no longer look outside for change, you will look within, because that's where everything begins, and that's where everything is made real. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to live from the end. It is the act of mentally and emotionally stepping into the version of yourself that already has what you desire, even before there's any physical evidence to support it. This principle is not about pretending or playing make-believe. It is about fully embodying a state of being so convincingly that reality has no choice but to catch up. When you desire something, like $580 million, 0 cents, you must stop waiting for it to arrive before you change. You must become the person who already possesses it now. The mind does not operate on external logic, it operates on belief and repetition. When you begin to think, feel, and act like someone who is already wealthy, you shift your identity, and it is this shift in identity that causes life to respond differently to you. You no longer chase money, you attract it, because you've become a magnet for the state of wealth. You've already claimed it internally. The outer world is just playing catch-up. This is not about visualization for a few minutes and then slipping back into lack. It's about sustaining the state of abundance throughout your day. When you walk as someone who knows they are financially free. When you speak, let your words reflect confidence, not desperation. When you make decisions, make them from the place of wealth, not fear. Ask yourself, how would I feel if I already had $580 million, 0 cents? Secure, peaceful, excited, free? Let those feelings be your dominant emotional tone. Let them color your thoughts and guide your behavior. When the world will tempt you to doubt, your bank account might contradict your assumption. But the key is not to react. The moment you react to what is, you step out of the wish fulfilled and back into the old self. Instead, persist in the inner knowing that what you've imagined is already done. The deeper you feel it, the faster it materializes. This method is powerful because it bypasses the need for external validation. You no longer ask, where is my money, or when will it come? Those questions come from lack. When you truly assume the wish is fulfilled, you stop needing proof, because you already have it in your mind and heart. You move through life with calm expectancy, not anxious waiting. Reality reflects consciousness. If you are constantly affirming wealth inwardly, if you're emotionally anchored in the state of being rich, then by law, your external circumstances must match. It may show up as new ideas, people, or opportunities, but it will show up. You don't need to know how. Your job is not to manage the outer world, it's to manage your inner state. Assume it boldly, feel it deeply, live from it consistently. Don't wait to be wealthy to feel wealthy. Feel wealthy now, and wealth will follow. The wish fulfilled is not a future event, it is a present truth, waiting to be accepted by you. Repetition is not simply the act of saying something over and over again. It is the process of impressing a belief into your subconscious mind. Each time you repeat a phrase, especially with feeling, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of your inner world. These seeds may not sprout overnight, but if you continue to nourish them with emotion and consistency, they will eventually grow into visible results in your outer life. The words you speak and repeat are creative forces. They are not idle. They carry power and intention. When repeated with belief, they become reality. The subconscious mind does not think in logic. It accepts what is given to it through emotion and repetition. If you repeat, I am wealthy, with feeling and persistence, your subconscious will eventually accept it as truth. Once that happens, your actions, decisions, and circumstances begin to shift in alignment with that belief. The phrase you repeat is like a script for your reality. The more often you affirm it, the more your mind begins to accept it, and the more life reflects it back to you. Most people unknowingly repeat phrases all day long. Phrases like "I can't afford that," "I'm always struggling," "Nothing ever works out for me." These repeated statements form their reality not because they're true, but because they're believed. The subconscious doesn't care if the phrase is empowering or limiting. It simply accepts what is repeated with conviction. That's why it's so important to consciously choose your inner dialogue. Every word is a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life. When you repeat a phrase like $180 million, 0 cents is already mine, you are doing more than speaking. It's a creative act. The words begin to form mental images. The images evoke feelings, and those feelings create a new state of being. And when you maintain that state through repetition, the world begins to shape itself to match your new self-concept. The outer world is slow to respond, but it always responds. Emotion is the water to the seed of your words. Flat, lifeless repetition may have some effect, but it's the repetition fused with deep feeling that transforms consciousness. When you say your phrase, don't just say it, feel it. Let it take root in your body. Let your heart believe it. Let your imagination see it. Do this daily, especially before sleep and upon waking, when the subconscious is most open to suggestion. This is not about begging the universe. It's about claiming your identity. You're not asking for wealth. You're affirming that it's already yours. The more you repeat this truth, the more it becomes your dominant belief. And once it becomes your dominant belief, reality has no choice but to follow. So be deliberate, be consistent, repeat what you want until it becomes who you are. Every phrase, every affirmation, every word spoken in faith is a seed. Keep watering it. Keep believing in it. Repetition creates reality, not by magic, but by law. There is no power outside of you greater than the one within you. No one is coming to save you, rescue you, or hand you the life of your dreams. You are the operant power, the one who initiates, directs, and determines the course of your life. Once you understand this truth, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop begging. You stop hoping that something outside of you will deliver what you desire. Instead, you begin to claim it from within. To be the operant power means you are the source, not the effect. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the cause of it. Your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions, they are creating your world moment by moment. Whether you are aware of it or not, you are always manifesting. The difference is, now you get to do it consciously. Now you take responsibility for what you think and feel, knowing that those inner states shape your reality. You cannot outsource your transformation. It doesn't matter who you know, what the economy is doing, or what your current conditions look like. Conditions don't create power. Power creates conditions. And that power is you. It's not luck, fate, or external forces that make the difference. It's your awareness of who you are and your ability to direct your inner world. The world will always mirror back to you what you believe about yourself. So if you want more, you must believe you already are more. This is the truth that most people avoid because it removes all excuses. If you are the power, then you can no longer blame anyone or anything. But in that same realization lies ultimate freedom. If you caused the lack, you can cause the wealth. If you attracted the chaos, you can attract the peace. And if you feel powerless, it is only because you have forgotten your role as the creator. Being the operant power is not about arrogance or control. It's about alignment. It's about aligning with the truth that your inner state determines your outer experience. You do not need to wait for a sign, a person, or perfect timing. The moment you decide, truly decide, that something is yours, the universe begins to rearrange itself to support that decision. But it starts with you. You must assume the responsibility and authority of your life. Stop seeking permission to succeed. Stop needing validation to believe. You do not need to be chosen. You are already born with the power to choose, the power to think, to feel, to imagine, and to create. Everything you want is already within you in potential form. Wealth is not outside of you. It is waiting for you to align with the version of yourself who already has it. You call it into being not with force, but with awareness, with belief, and with intention. You are the operant power. Own it. Use it. Live from it. And watch as the world bends to your inner command. Persistence is the secret ingredient that transforms imagination into reality. The moment you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you begin a process, a spiritual gestation, that requires faith, consistency, and unwavering dedication. But too often, people give up too soon. They imagine once, affirm for a few days, and when nothing changes instantly, they retreat into doubt. What they fail to realize is that every unseen shift is still a shift. Just because your physical world hasn't yet caught up, doesn't mean your desire isn't already unfolding behind the scenes. When you persist even when appearances suggest nothing is happening, you are proving your faith. Faith is not passive, it is active loyalty to the unseen. You remain faithful to the end result, no matter how loud the present moment screams otherwise. This kind of persistence is not rooted in effort, but in conviction. You continue to imagine the outcome you desire because you know it is already yours in the realm of consciousness. You're not creating it from nothing, you're bringing it from the invisible into the visible. The world around you is not immediate. It moves with the delay of manifestation. That's why persistence is key. It gives your assumption the time and space to harden into fact. It allows your subconscious mind to be reprogrammed. Each time you affirm and imagine your desired outcome, you are reinforcing a new belief. And once that belief becomes dominant, reality has no choice but to reflect it. Persistence is not the same as struggle. You are not trying to force things into being. You are simply refusing to accept anything less than your imagined truth. You continue to live from the state of the wish fulfilled. You walk, talk, feel, and think from that reality, regardless of external appearances. The old version of your life may still be visible, but you no longer give it authority. You know a new reality is forming. The reality is forming. This is the test of true manifestation. Can you remain loyal to your vision without needing constant reassurance from the outer world? Can you trust the unseen more than what your eyes show you? If you can, then you have mastered the process. Because the law is certain, what you persist in inwardly must show up outwardly. Remember, your job is not to figure out how or when. Your job is to persist in the feeling that it is already done. Let the world catch up to your decision. Let time bend to your inner conviction. It may take days, weeks, or even months, but it will come. The only thing that can delay or deny it is your own decision to stop believing. So persist, keep imagining, keep affirming. When doubt whispers, repeat your truth louder. When reality seems unchanged, dig deeper into your conviction. You are not waiting, you are becoming. And soon, what you've assumed in silence will be shouted by your reality. It will harden into fact, because that is the law. Everything in your life, your relationships, finances, opportunities, and even the random events you call coincidences, originates from one source, your consciousness. There is no external force shaping your reality apart from what you first accept as true within. Consciousness is the only cause. The outer world is not the creator of your experience, but a reflection of your inner state. What you consistently think, feel, and assume is what life mirrors back to you. It is not luck, chance, or external circumstances that determine your outcome. It is your awareness of being. If you desire to change your life, you must begin by changing the conversations you're having with yourself. The inner dialogue that plays in your mind, often silently and unconsciously, sets the tone for your entire life. If your inner voice constantly whispers, "I can't afford that," "I'll never get ahead," or "money is hard to come by," then your outer experience will dutifully reflect that limitation. It is not because money is scarce, but because your consciousness has been conditioned to expect lack. But the beauty of this truth is that it places full creative control back in your hands. You don't need permission, luck, or special circumstances. You simply need to revise your inner narrative. When you begin to affirm thoughts like, "I always attract wealth," "Money flows to me with ease," or "I live in constant abundance," and repeat them with emotional conviction, your consciousness begins to shift. And as your inner world changes, the outer world must follow. This is not wishful thinking, it's law. It's how reality operates at the deepest level. You are not a passive observer. You are a powerful participant in creation. You are constantly selecting realities with your attention. Whatever you give focus, feeling, and repetition to becomes your dominant vibration, and it eventually solidifies into your life experience. Your bank account, for instance, does not operate independently of your mind. It is a perfect gauge of the story you've been telling yourself about money. If you want more money, don't start by working harder. Start by thinking differently. The labor is not outside. The real work is within. Change your assumptions about yourself and your relationship to abundance. Replace old patterns of fear and scarcity with new ones rooted in confidence and wealth. Over time, these inner impressions will become your new reality. It is not enough to say affirmations once or twice and then expect change. You must persist in your new self-talk until it becomes natural. At first, your mind may resist. Your current circumstances may appear unchanged. But don't be fooled. The seed has been planted, and your new inner world is taking root. When you truly understand that consciousness is the only cause, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. You no longer look at your bank account for confirmation, you look within. The outer world is just the shadow of your inner truth. Shift that truth, and the shadow must move. Change your consciousness, and you change everything. Now you know the truth. The power has always been within you. You are not here to chase wealth. You are here to awaken to the fact that it's already yours. Imagination is your creative force. Assumption is your gateway. Repetition is your tool. Persistence is your proof. And consciousness is the only cause. You are the operant power. Everything begins and ends within you. $580 million 0 cents is not a fantasy, it is a reality, waiting to be claimed by the version of you who dares to believe without needing evidence. Step into that version now. Think from it, feel from it, live from it. Do not wait, do not hesitate. The moment you assume it's yours, the world starts to bend in your favor. So repeat it until it becomes truth in your bones. $580 million 0 cents is already mine, because it is. Sincerely, thank you for listening, for believing, and most importantly, for stepping into your power. The world you desire is already here. Just claim it.
Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. Not because it's something mystical, but because in stillness, you return to your center. And it's from this inner sanctuary that your entire world is created. Let me explain. Right now, while you're listening, something is happening behind the scenes. And you can't see it with your eyes. But your heart knows. Your spirit senses it. God is about to shift everything in your favor. Yes, even that situation you thought was forgotten, even the door that closed, even the people who walked away, it was never rejection. It was realignment. You see, the world around you is not fixed. It is clay, molded by the invisible hand of faith, thought, and imagination. And the moment you stop reacting to what is and start assuming what must be, the clay begins to move. Circumstances will bend, people will show up, opportunities will unfold, but not because you begged, not because you chased, because you believed. The ship doesn't begin out there. It begins when you say quietly to yourself, "It is done." That moment, that declaration in silence, sets in motion all things necessary to bring your desire into form. Your bank account, your relationship, your health, your purpose. It is already being restructured. God is not waiting for a better time, He is waiting for a better awareness. One where you stop pleading and start possessing what is already yours in the Spirit. Everything you need is within you. The vision that came from above, the desire that is holy, and the power to manifest it, that is God acting through you. Stop looking at the facts, they lie. Stop measuring progress by appearance, it deceives. Start seeing with your inner eye, your imagination. That is where the shift begins. You were never meant to strive. You were meant to remember who you are, a creator, a child of the Most High, one with the Source. And when that remembrance takes root, nothing can stand in your way. Every setback becomes fuel. Every closed door becomes proof that a better one was on its way. Every no becomes a divine yes in disguise. The shift is not coming. It is here. And soon the world will see what you already know in secret. God is about to shift everything in your favor. So relax, rest in the knowing, and watch how it all bends toward your good. Your life is not determined by what happens around you. It is shaped by what you allow to take root within you. The world you see, the people you meet, the experiences you attract, they are all mirrors reflecting your inner state of being. The outer shift you long for does not begin with the world. It begins in your mind, in your imagination, and in your assumptions about who you are and what you are worthy of. Those people attempt to change their lives by manipulating circumstances, chasing opportunities, or trying to control outcomes. But all of this effort is in vain unless the inward man has changed. Until your thoughts realign with what you desire, the outer world cannot help but reflect the contradictions within. You may ask for abundance, but if you assume lack, you will live in shortage. You may wish for love, but if you assume rejection, you will experience loneliness. The law is precise. What you assume to be true, even in secret, must become your world. This is why the inner world is sacred. It is the realm where true creation happens. God does not operate outside of you, directing your life from afar. He moves through you, and the vehicle He uses is your imagination. When you think a new thought, when you envision a new outcome, when you declare something as true even before it appears, you become the architect of your own experience. Your imagination is the place where divine power flows freely, creating what the senses cannot yet perceive. So the real question is not, how can I change my life? But, what am I entertaining in consciousness? What are the silent conversations you have with yourself? What do you truly expect to happen when you wake up each morning? What images are you carrying in the inner sanctuary of your soul? Because these are not idle things. They are creative seeds, and they must bear fruit. If you want a new life, you must first plant a new assumption. Assume that you are already the person you long to be. Walk as if it is already done. Speak as if your prayers have already been answered. Feel the end result. Let it live in you. Let it take form in your imagination until it becomes more real than the current facts. When this happens, the outer world will begin to shift to match your inner conviction. This is not daydreaming. This is the sacred work of aligning with divine truth. You are not a beggar trying to convince the heavens to bless you. You are a co-creator, chosen to carry God's essence into form. And when you rise in awareness, your world rises with you. People may not understand how your life begins to unfold effortlessly. They may call it luck. They may say it's chance. But you'll know the truth. It began the moment you changed within. That's when everything outside of you had no choice but to follow. So trust the inner world. Honor your thoughts. Guard your assumptions, because your life will always flow from the inside out, never the other way around. Faith is not just a spiritual concept, it is the very power that bridges the gap between where you are and where you are destined to be. When you rely on what you see with your physical eyes, you are bound to limitations. You measure possibilities by current circumstances, past experiences, and external opinions. But the truth is, the life you desire does not manifest through logic or sight. It comes through belief. It comes through the deep, unwavering conviction that what you imagine is more real than what you currently experience. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. It is knowing, even in the face of contradiction, that what you desire is already yours in the unseen realm. And the moment you choose to walk in that inner knowing, to act, speak, and think from it, everything around you begins to shift. The unseen starts to organize itself to match your vision. Circumstances rearrange. People change. Opportunities arise from unexpected places. But when doubt enters, everything stalls. Doubt is the voice that questions what's already been promised. It's the hesitation that tells you to wait for proof before you believe. Yet spiritual law never works that way. The proof follows the belief. The evidence appears after the assumption. You must first accept it within before you ever hold it in your hand. Every time you hold a clear vision in your imagination and move with the confidence that it is already done, you speed up the process. Faith quickens. It shortens the gap between desire and manifestation. It draws what you long for out of the invisible and into your daily reality. It is like a magnet, pulling into form all that aligns with your inner conviction. So many people ask for favor, for blessings, for breakthrough, but remain stuck because they don't truly believe they are worthy of it. They don't believe it can happen for them. Their prayers are filled with longing, not knowing. Their actions are hesitant, not bold. But favor responds to faith, not fear. Grace flows where trust is strong. When you begin to see yourself as already favored, already guided, already blessed, life begins to treat you accordingly. Faith is the invisible bridge that carries you over doubt, fear, and impossibility. It doesn't require signs or evidence. It simply requires alignment with the deeper truth, that all things are possible to the one who believes. This belief is not forced. It is chosen. You choose to believe despite what others say. You choose to believe even when you feel unqualified. And in doing so, you allow the divine to move. Everything you desire is already waiting in the unseen, waiting to be called forth by your conviction. You don't have to figure out the how. That is not your role. Your role is to believe, to hold firm, to walk in the identity of the person who already has what you once hoped for. In that state, you don't wait for favor, you walk in it. Because faith is not hoping it will happen. Faith is knowing it already has. Everything changes the moment you assume the end. The moment you dare to believe that what you desire is already yours. Not in the distant future, not someday, but now. Your world begins to bend around that assumption. Most people live toward their goals, always reaching, always hoping, always preparing. But there is a higher way of living, one that does not reach forward, but rests in fulfillment. You do not need to chase what you already have. You only need to awaken to the truth that it is already done. To assume the end is to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. It is not about pretending or fooling yourself. It is about living in a deeper truth, one where time and space have no power over your desire. If you can imagine it clearly and feel the reality of it within, then it already exists in the unseen. Your job is not to create the desire. It was given to you. Your job is to accept it, to embody it, and to persist in that state until the outer world reflects what you have claimed in consciousness. Most people delay their blessing because they continue to look for signs before they believe. But the signs only appear after the assumption is made. The outer world is a shadow echoing the inner state. You don't wait for change, you become the change. And when you live from the end, you speak differently, you think differently, you walk differently. Because you're no longer trying to make something happen, you're simply allowing it to unfold from the place of knowing it already has. This is the secret power of assumption. It bypasses effort and moves you straight into alignment. It removes the question of when and replaces it with now. When you assume the end, you cut ties with doubt. You no longer consult the facts. You no longer measure progress. You simply rest in the unseen reality and let that inner conviction write the script of your outer life. Imagine the desire already fulfilled. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What would you stop doing? What would you begin doing? Let that feeling dominate your inner world. Let it become your new home. Because the one who lives from the end is never waiting. They are remembering. They are remembering who they already are in spirit and what has already been given. You don't beg for what's already yours, you receive it by being it. That means you must think like the version of you who already has it. You must feel as they would feel. You must assume that your desire is not on the way, it has already arrived. That assumption becomes the mold from which your new reality is poured. It is not arrogance to believe in the fulfillment of your desire. It is obedience to spiritual law. You are not forcing reality to conform to your will. You are aligning with the divine order that responds to belief, not begging. Assume the end. Rest in it. Live from it. And soon the world will catch up with the truth you've already claimed. It is already yours. There comes a point on your journey when you must choose to silence the noise of delay. The mental chatter that keeps asking, where is it? When will it happen? What if it never does? That noise is not helping you. It is delaying what's already yours. Because every time you look for signs, you are confirming silently and subconsciously that you do not yet believe. The search for evidence reveals the presence of doubt. And where doubt lingers, manifestation slows. You must understand this. Delay is not denial, but your reaction to the perceived delay can become your greatest blockage. The outer world responds not to your words, but to your inner conviction. If you believe that something is taking too long, if you feel restless, anxious, or impatient, you are declaring to your world that the thing you desire is still far away, and so it must remain far. But something extraordinary happens when you become still. When you stop checking, when you stop questioning, when you surrender your timeline and step into deep, quiet trust. That stillness is not emptiness. It is power. It is alignment. It is the silent declaration that I know it is done. And in that state, everything begins to move. Not because you are watching it, but because you are finally allowing it. You see, trust is the most magnetic force you can hold. It says to God, I do not need to control this. I do not need constant signs to believe. I simply rest because I know. That rest is the evidence of real faith. And in that rest, God moves. The moment you stop obsessing over how long it's taking, the moment you stop checking the mirror of your reality for signs of progress, that's when the shift begins. It's not because something finally changed, it's because you changed. You aligned with divine timing instead of forcing your own. Everything you want has already been created in the unseen. It exists in spiritual form, but it becomes yours in the physical when you release the need to chase it. When you live as though it's already done, you no longer ask when. You no longer ask how. You simply live, breathe, and move in the quiet joy of fulfillment. That is the secret place where all miracles begin. Let this be your daily practice. Withdraw your attention from appearances. Silence the inner voice that demands proof. Step out of impatience. Don't let the world rush you. Don't let your mind talk you out of what your spirit already knows. The more still you become, the louder your faith speaks. And in that stillness, you'll notice something remarkable. Life starts to shift without your effort. Opportunities flow in, people appear, circumstances bend. Not because you forced it, but because you trusted the process. You trusted the divine intelligence that governs all things perfectly. So stop refreshing your reality like a screen waiting to load. Rest. Trust. Let stillness become your daily language. Because in that silence, in that sacred pause, God is not absent. He is orchestrating everything. Stillness is not delay. It is the quiet confirmation that your desire is already on its way. Or more truthfully, already here. You are not here by accident. You are not a bystander in this life, hoping and waiting for divine intervention to rescue you from your circumstances. The truth is far more powerful. You are the vessel God uses for change. The creative force of the universe flows through you, and it is your consciousness, your imagination, your belief that shapes how it expresses. So many people spend their lives waiting on God to move, to show a sign, to fix the situation. But what they don't realize is that God is already ready. The power is not withheld. The blessing is not delayed. The door is not locked. It is the belief or lack thereof that decides whether the divine can flow freely or be restrained. God is not waiting for the right time. He is waiting for the right alignment. And alignment comes through your faith. When your belief becomes unwavering, when you fully embody the idea that what you desire is already yours, then God moves swiftly. The shift isn't waiting to happen. It is waiting to be activated through your awareness. Because you are the point of expression. You are the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between spirit and form. That is why your imagination is sacred. It is not idle fantasy, it is divine instrument. It is the workshop where your desires are formed and finished before they ever appear in the outer world. When you imagine something clearly, with feeling and conviction, you are not simply dreaming, you are creating. That is the place where God speaks to you, shows you the blueprint, and then waits for you to say yes, to assume it, to accept it as done. Your life is not being dictated from the outside in, it is being shaped from the inside out. The moment you assume, you are already the person who has received the answer, the blessing, the change. That's the moment everything begins to move. Doors open, opportunities find you. People are drawn in to assist, not because you chased them, but because you became the version of yourself that attracts them. There is no separation between you and the power that creates worlds. You are made in the image of divine intelligence, not to beg for change, but to become the change. Every time you sit in silence and imagine a better reality with conviction, you are doing holy work. You are saying to God, use me, flow through me, let your power express as my life. And that is exactly what happens. You don't need to see how it will come to pass. You don't need to figure out every detail. You simply need to trust that what you hold in faith will take form in time. And often, the moment you stop doubting, the moment you stop waiting for evidence, that is when the evidence arrives. So stop waiting on a sign. Stop waiting on the world to shift. You are the sign. You are the beginning of the shift. You are the vessel through which heaven touches earth. Let your imagination be guided by faith. Let your belief become unshakable. And watch how quickly God begins to move through you. What you perceive as resistance is often not working against you, it is working for you. It may not look like it. It may feel heavy, frustrating, or unjust, but everything that rises to oppose you must eventually bow to divine order. Nothing in this world can truly stand against a soul that is aligned with truth, because truth is the highest authority. It does not argue, and it does not fight. It simply is. And everything that is not in alignment with it must fall away or be transformed by it. Sometimes the delays, the denials, the difficulties you face are not there to stop you. They are there to redirect you, to protect you, to awaken you. Resistance becomes your teacher, revealing what is still unresolved within you. It exposes fear, surfaces doubt, and invites you to return to the power of your inner knowing. When you begin to see every challenge through the lens of divine purpose, you no longer fear it. You no longer resist the resistance, you rise above it. Because when you are walking in alignment, not with ego but with truth, even your enemies become part of the plan. Even closed doors are not setbacks, they are sacred reroutes. What looked like rejection was often God's redirection. What felt like abandonment was protection. What seemed like a loss was the setup for something greater than you could have imagined. There is a divine current that flows through all things. It is unseen, but it is active. And when you stop striving and begin surrendering to that current, life begins to make sense. You realize that the battle was never yours to fight. The only battle was in your mind, between fear and faith, between assumption and truth. The moment you let go of the struggle and return to your higher knowing, everything begins to shift. The people who opposed you, the situations that tried to break you, they don't disappear, but they lose power. Because you no longer see them as barriers, you see them as part of the path. You recognize that divine order takes everything, even what was meant for harm, and turns it for good. That is the power of alignment. When your thoughts, your assumptions, and your imagination come into harmony with your highest self, with God's truth, then nothing can stay out of place for long. Chaos will settle, enemies will be silenced, storms will calm, and what was once standing in your way will become the very thing that lifts you higher. You do not need to fear the opposition, you do not need to fight it. You only need to remember who you are and whose power flows through you. Speak peace where there is noise. Declare order where there is confusion. Trust that even in the appearance of conflict, something greater is unfolding. So let this be your confidence. No matter what appears to rise against you, it will bow. Not to your effort, not to your willpower, but to the divine truth within you. And that truth cannot fail. You are already victorious because what you carry inside is greater than anything the world can place in front of you. Every obstacle is already a stepping stone. Every enemy is already defeated by the law of divine order. And your miracle is not delayed, it's being perfected. Everything you've ever desired, everything you've prayed for, imagined and longed to see begins and ends within you. Your thoughts, your assumptions, and your unwavering faith are not powerless. They are the very tools God uses to bring your life into alignment with divine order. You are not waiting for change. You are the change. The shift is already happening. Not outside of you, but through you. When you assume the end, trust the process, and rest in the stillness of knowing the entire universe conspires to deliver what is already yours. Opposition cannot stop it. Delay cannot block it. What God has placed in your heart will manifest when you walk in alignment with it. You are the vessel, the bridge, the expression of divine power. So stop doubting, stop waiting, and start living from the truth. God is about to shift everything in your favor, and that shift begins now. Pray to say thanks. Thank you for listening with your heart. May this message awaken something deep within you, a knowing that cannot be shaken. Walk boldly, believe fully, and remember always, the favor of God is not coming, it's already here. There is a shift happening, and if you're hearing this, you're part of it. You've been praying, waiting, wondering, why is nothing changing? But what you call silence is set up. The divine doesn't rush, it positions. You are not being denied, you are being aligned. Every delay, every detour, every closed door was not rejection, it was redirection. What you cannot yet see is that the breakthrough you desire is already yours, but it had to find fertile ground. It had to match who you are becoming. You see, no change happens from the outside in. It happens from the inside out. Your world is not responding to what you say, it is reflecting what you believe and assume to be true. If you wake up every morning expecting more of the same, the world delivers a faithful echo. But if you dare to walk in the feeling of it is done, if you dare to act as though what you asked for has already arrived, then heaven and earth will bend to your belief, because your assumption is creative power. You don't need to fight circumstances. You don't need to beg, chase, or force. What you need is to inhabit the identity of the person who already has the breakthrough, because the one who has it feels peace, confidence, joy, not anxiety, fear, or doubt. The breakthrough is waiting at the level of your awareness. And I tell you, something is shifting. The invisible is rearranging itself. The stage is being set for something extraordinary. But it requires your agreement. You must stop looking with your eyes and start seeing with your spirit. The door is already open in the unseen realm. Now step through it in consciousness. Every hardship you've endured, every quiet night when no one knew what you were holding inside, every test of your patience, your faith, your endurance, it was not in vain. Because God is setting you up, not for a small upgrade, not for a minor improvement, but for a major breakthrough. And when it comes, it won't make sense. It will exceed logic, bypass rules, and overflow boundaries. But that's how the divine moves. So today, stop waiting, start aligning. Begin feeling that it is done, because once you shift within, the world must shift around you. Your breakthrough is already prepared. Now, prepare yourself to receive it. What you perceive as a delay is not a denial, and it is certainly not failure. It is, in truth, a divine rearrangement, a sacred orchestration of events that are far beyond your immediate understanding. In moments when you feel stuck or overlooked, the truth is quite the opposite. Heaven is actively working on your behalf. The very things that seem to be holding you back are the same forces pushing you towards something much greater than you can currently comprehend. You must understand that reality is layered. There is the seen and the unseen, the physical and the spiritual. And in between these layers, there is a perfect order that governs the movement of life. When things appear to be still, when your desires seem unanswered, it is often because the visible is being reshaped to match the invisible. The blueprint of your breakthrough exists, but the outer form must align with that inner vision before it can appear in your life. Many people panic in this season. They begin to doubt, to fear, to question their worth, their path, or even the presence of the divine. But that's only because they're measuring their progress by what they see instead of what they know. You were never meant to walk by sight. You were meant to walk by trust. A deep inner knowing that the seed you planted is taking root, even if it hasn't yet broken through the surface. What you call an obstacle is often a reconfiguration. The relationships that ended, the opportunities that slipped through your fingers, the doors that were slammed shut, all of these were movements of grace in disguise. Not everything that you want right now is in alignment with the life you're meant to live. And sometimes it takes time to remove the things that are not meant for your highest good. Sometimes it takes a divine delay to clear the path for something bigger. The delay isn't a punishment. It's a setup. It's the positioning of people, places, and moments that must come into perfect harmony before your breakthrough can manifest. You see, the divine never works halfway. It prepares all things. It connects the dots long before you arrive. It orchestrates the timing so that what you receive is not only powerful, but sustainable. In the natural world, when you build a new structure, you must first demolish what's no longer stable. The same principle applies in the spiritual realm. Some delays exist because old systems within you are being broken down. Your limiting beliefs, your fear of success, your subconscious resistance to change. Until those inner obstacles are cleared, the outer breakthrough cannot stand. It would collapse under the weight of an unprepared foundation. So don't curse the waiting, don't rush the process. Instead, align your thoughts with the truth. Everything is being divinely rearranged for your good. What looks like silence is actually strategy. What feels like distance is actually protection. And what seems like nothing happening is often the greatest movement of all, the movement that happens within. Stay faithful. Stay still within. Your breakthrough is not on the way. It's already here, unfolding beneath the surface, moving toward you through channels unseen. All that is required now is your trust. Because what's coming will not just match your expectations, it will exceed them. Nothing in your outer world changes until there is a shift within you. This is the great secret. The cause of everything you experience is not out there. It's inside your own mind. The situations you face, the people you encounter, the challenges or blessings that appear in your life, they are not random. They are mirrors reflecting the contents of your inner world. You may be tempted to believe that circumstances have power over you, that luck, timing, or the actions of others determine your future. But this is an illusion. True change, lasting transformation, and the breakthrough you seek do not begin by fixing the external. They begin the moment you decide, in the stillness of your imagination, that it is already done, that your desire is already fulfilled, that you are already who you wish to become. When you assume something to be true, when you fully accept it in your imagination and feel it with certainty, you set spiritual forces in motion. These forces are invisible, but they are precise and powerful. They begin to align people, events, and circumstances to bring your assumed reality into form. The outside must conform to the inner state you persist in, and the key word is persist. Because it's not just about imagining something once. It's about living in the assumption consistently, regardless of what your physical senses report. You may look around and see the opposite of what you desire. You may feel discouraged or think that nothing is happening. But if you hold fast to the inner reality and refuse to be moved by appearances, your world must change. It must, because the outer is not self-created. It is a reflection. It follows the inner pattern, just as a shadow follows the object. If you change the object, the belief, the assumption, the dominant thought, the shadow must change with it. It has no will of its own. This is why many people remain stuck. They pray for change, speak of change, hope for change, but internally they still dwell in lack, fear, and doubt. They think as the old self. They feel as the old self. And so the world has no choice but to mirror back more of the same. But when you dare to embody the new version of yourself in thought and feeling, when you see yourself as already healed, already prosperous, already whole, your inner world sends out a new signal, and reality responds. This is not positive thinking. This is creation. You are not waiting on the breakthrough. The breakthrough is waiting on you, on your decision to inhabit the state where it already exists. Once you assume it as fact and persist in that mental state, the world must rearrange itself to reflect it. You may not know how it will unfold. You don't need to. Your job is not to figure out the method. It's to maintain the inner vision, to feel it as true, and trust that what you've accepted in imagination will express itself in form. So if you want change, don't look outside for it. Don't wait for the world to confirm your new story. Write the new story within and live as if it's done, because the moment you do, the process has already begun, and nothing can stop the manifestation that follows. The tension you feel, the silence that surrounds you, the waiting that seems to go on without end, these are not punishments. They are not signs that you've been forgotten or overlooked. They are sacred signals. You are not being pushed down, you are being pulled forward. What you interpret as resistance is actually momentum. What you call delay is actually divine stretching. There is something bigger, deeper, and higher pulling you toward it, and in order to receive it, you must first expand to hold it. You are not stuck, you are being shaped. Growth is not always gentle. Expansion is not always comfortable. When you outgrow an old state of being, when your soul longs for more, there is a tension that naturally arises. It's the space between who you were and who you are becoming. That space feels uncertain. It feels like pressure. It feels like something is being taken from you. But in truth, something greater is being given to you. It just hasn't arrived in form yet. Imagine a seed buried in the soil. It lies in darkness with no visible proof that anything is happening, but under the surface, life is stirring. The shell is cracking, roots are forming, the seed is being pulled by the light above, though it cannot yet see it. This is your season of becoming. You are that seed, and the tension you feel is the pull of a greater version of you that already exists in potential. There is a reality, higher than the one you see with your eyes, that is already calling you toward it. A reality where your desires are fulfilled, your heart is healed, your gifts are activated. That reality is not separate from you. It is not far away. It is inside you, pulling you through every challenge, every moment of silence, every period of stillness. You are never being punished. You are being prepared. The silence is not rejection, it's calibration. You are being tuned to a new frequency, a new level of awareness, a deeper sense of trust. The stillness is where your true power is awakened, not when everything is moving, but when nothing appears to be. That's when you learn to listen, to feel, to imagine, to stretch your faith beyond the visible. And the waiting? It's not idle, it's active. Every moment you wait, in alignment, in surrender, in trust, you are growing. You are strengthening your spiritual muscles. You are stretching the limits of your old identity and preparing for the next level of your calling. Waiting is not wasting when it's done in awareness. So shift your perspective. See the tension as movement. See the silence as sacred. See the waiting as part of the miracle. You are not being held back. You are being held for something. Something larger than what you prayed for. Something that requires you to be more than you've ever been before. And the only way to meet that version of yourself is to stretch. You are being pulled by destiny, by the future that already knows your name, by a breakthrough that is drawn to your faith. Don't resist the process, lean into it. Trust the stretch, because you are not stuck, you are being summoned. You don't receive what you want, you receive who you are being. This is the unshakable truth behind every breakthrough, every transformation, every answered prayer. Life does not respond to begging or wishing. It responds to identity. Not the identity on paper, but the identity you carry in your inner world. The thoughts you think repeatedly, the feelings you dwell in, the assumptions you call truth. A breakthrough is not something you chase, it's something you align with. It comes when your inner self rises to match the vibration of the outcome you desire. It comes when you stop asking, "How do I get it?" and instead start being the version of yourself who already has it. This requires a shift in identity, not a shift in circumstance. You must stop seeing yourself as the one in need and begin seeing yourself as the one who has already received. You must walk, talk, think, and feel as though the thing you once longed for is now part of your reality. This isn't pretending, it's becoming. You are embodying a new state of consciousness, and from that state, new experiences are born. Think about it. The person who is already healed doesn't wake up feeling broken. The person who is already abundant doesn't dwell in lack. The person who is already loved doesn't beg for attention. Each of these states carries its own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And when you inhabit that inner state, your outer world begins to mirror it. This is why many people pray but still don't receive. They speak of faith, yet dwell in doubt. They say they believe, yet continue to act like victims of their past or prisoners of their current circumstances. But your identity is always stronger than your desire. Until your identity changes, nothing else can. If you want something different, you must become someone different. The great secret is this: your breakthrough already exists, but it exists in a dimension that matches the version of you who is ready to receive it. You can't bring it into your life by striving. You bring it by shifting, by becoming internally what you are asking for externally. This change doesn't happen through force. It happens through decision. You decide in this moment to no longer see yourself as the one who is waiting. You claim the identity of the one who already has. And from that space, you speak differently. You move differently. Breakthroughs aren't about events. They're about identity alignment. The most powerful question you can ask is not when will it happen, but who must I become to allow this into my life? The answer to that question will guide your thoughts, shape your imagination, and shift your emotional state. And once you shift who you're being, the universe has no choice but to deliver what belongs to that version of you. So today, stop trying to change your life by force. Instead, change your self-concept. Redefine yourself as the one who already lives beyond the barrier. Assume the breakthrough is done. Feel it, believe it, embody it, because once you become it in consciousness, life must reflect it in form. Just because you cannot see the movement doesn't mean it's not happening. The moment you claimed a desire, truly claimed it in your heart and mind, something in the unseen realm was activated. Invisible forces began to move in your favor. Energies shifted. Paths started forming. People, resources, and circumstances began to adjust, all without your conscious awareness. This is the divine choreography of life. You may not hear the music, but the dance has already begun. We have been conditioned to believe that if we can't see results, nothing is working. But this is a mistake. True power moves in silence. A seed does not sprout the instant it's planted. It must first go through a hidden process beneath the soil. Roots form long before stems emerge. And yet no one stands over a seed and assumes it's failing just because it's not yet visible. We trust nature's timing, yet we doubt our own. The same principle applies to your desires. When you imagine something is already done, when you align with that reality internally, you send out a signal. That signal is not wasted, it is received. And the unseen world begins to respond in precise ways. The right conversations are being prepared, the perfect alignments are on the way, the necessary shifts are unfolding behind the curtain of time. Your job is not to micromanage the how. It's to trust the invisible process that was activated by your intention. Even in silence, heaven is active. And often, the silence is not absence, it's protection. It's refinement. It's the sacred space where things are maturing and falling into divine order. If you could see all that is happening on your behalf, you would never doubt again. If you knew how many times you were saved, redirected, covered, and guided by what you couldn't see, you would fall to your knees in awe. The unseen is not unreal. It is simply operating beyond your senses. Just as gravity cannot be seen, but always functions, so too does the law of assumption, belief, and alignment. Your inner world is more powerful than you've been told. It is the birthplace of every visible change in your life. So do not let silence fool you. Do not let waiting shake you. The absence of noise is not the absence of movement. There is a quiet intelligence, a perfect wisdom, guiding every detail behind the scenes. And the more you trust it, the more clearly you align with it. Doubt disrupts the flow. Fear interferes with the signal. But faith, quiet, steady, unshakable faith, magnifies the unseen work. When you hold the vision as real, when you feel the fulfillment as done, you empower those invisible forces to deliver what you have accepted in consciousness. So today, be still and know it's happening. Just because you can't trace it doesn't mean you've been forgotten. Trust the unseen. Trust the silence. Trust the process. Because every delay, every pause, every quiet moment is laced with purpose. Your desire was heard. The work began the moment you believed. And though you cannot yet see it, your breakthrough is already on the way. Guided, guarded, and gracefully unfolding by invisible hands. Your emotions are not just responses to life, they are creators of life. They are the signals you send into the invisible realm, the vibrations that shape your world. Feeling is the secret pathway. It is not enough to merely speak your desire or think about it as a possibility. What matters most is how you feel about it. Because your feeling is your state of being, and your state of being is what manifests. Emotion is the compass that shows you where you are in consciousness. If you say you believe in abundance, but you feel anxious, doubtful, or unworthy, your emotion reveals your true assumption. The universe does not respond to words or wishes. It responds to energy. And energy is communicated most clearly through feeling. To bring something into your life, you must feel the state of the wish fulfilled. Not someday, not when it happens, but now, in this moment. You must learn to enter into the emotion of already having, already being, already living the outcome you desire. This is not delusion, it is creation. The inner world and the outer world are connected, and emotion is the bridge. When you feel relief, it means you've let go of resistance. When you feel gratitude, it means you've accepted it as done. When you feel joy, it means you are aligned with the experience as though it's already real. These feelings are not passive, they are magnetic. They draw your desired reality closer to you with powerful force. Most people are taught to wait until something happens before they feel good. They wait for the breakthrough to feel excited, the money to feel secure, the love to feel whole. But in spiritual law, it works the opposite way. You must feel it first. You must create the emotional blueprint before the physical structure can rise. This is not hope, this is law. Hope is weak and uncertain. It suggests maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. But feeling from the end, living from the outcome, is rooted in knowing. You are no longer asking whether it will come. You are living as though it already has. And the beauty is, you can do this in silence. You can sit in stillness, close your eyes, and feel your entire world shift. Feel the moment the door opened. Feel the hug of someone celebrating your success. Feel the peace of knowing the struggle is over. These imagined feelings, sustained in your inner world, have the power to alter your outer world. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. When you consistently feel the state of your desire fulfilled, your subconscious accepts it as truth and begins to arrange your life to match that truth. So if you're waiting for change, stop looking outward. Go inward and ask, what am I feeling? If you don't like the answer, shift it. You are not a prisoner of your past emotions. You can choose new ones right now. You can choose to feel as if it's already done, already here, and once you do, reality has no choice but to follow. Because emotion is not just a reaction, it is a creative force. And when used with intention, it becomes the secret pathway to every miracle you seek. What you are going through is not the end, it is the preparation. Every delay, every moment of silence, every feeling of tension or stillness is not a punishment, but a pull towards something greater. Your inner world is the cause. Your identity is the doorway. Your emotions are the signal, and your assumption is the command. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and state of being with the reality you desire, invisible forces begin to move. Even if you cannot yet see the results, you are not forgotten. You are not stuck. You are not being tested. You are being prepared, positioned, and pulled into the breakthrough that is already written in your name. The key is to persist in the belief that it is already done. And the moment you do, all of life begins to shift in your favor. Thank you, Line. Thank you for listening. May you never doubt again that what you seek is already seeking you. Stay faithful, stay aligned, and trust. Your breakthrough is closer than you think.